Victoria 3's Dev Diary number 1, entitled Pops, was posted on May 27, 2021. In it, Mikhail, the lead game designer of Victoria 3, introduced himself by speaking on the population mechanic featured in the Victoria franchise. As in the game's predecessor, Victoria 3's populations will drive each nation, serving as workers, taxpayers, bureaucrats, soldiers, and, in a worst-case scenario, revolutionaries. Following in the footsteps of Crusader Kings and Stellaris, the populations in Victoria 3 will now be represented by a portrait. While the player oversees the nation as a whole, the Pops cannot be manipulated directly. Instead, the Pops will react in what they perceive to be their own best interests. Interestingly, and logically, the interests of the different populations will conflict at times, forcing the player to play a balancing act when it comes to appeasing the different groups comprising their nation. The most important aspect of each Pop is their profession. It will determine the type of job they perform, the social class they fall into, their wages, their political strength, their potential to transition to other professions, and the interest groups they may support. Mikhail gives a short list of examples for Victoria 3's Pops, including aristocrats, capitalists, bureaucrats, officers, and laborers, all names Vic 2 players are familiar with, as well as shopkeepers, machinists, and peasants, which are new additions. He also highlights what he calls the key to society building, that is, investing in industries that provide job opportunities for the kinds of professions you want to foster in your nation. Midway through the post, we see a preview of what each Pop may look like. According to the caption, each variation of profession, culture, religion, and workplace in the world gets its own unique Pop. Examining the picture, we see many details in the apparent user interface. In this example, we notice that the Pop's state, culture, religion, and literacy are displayed, as well as the number of radicals and loyalists, the interest group they belong to, the political strength they represent, and their net income. We also see that discrimination is displayed. We see the total population, and notice that this number is further broken down into two groups of people known as the workforce and the dependents. The members of the workforce operate the game's buildings, collecting wages from their work. Dependents, however, are those who are not or cannot work officially. As such, they will only collect a small income from odd jobs and government programs. Throughout the game, laws may be changed, which will impact these numbers. For example, allowing women more rights will cause them to exit the dependent pool and enter the workforce. From the sounds of it, children will always be considered dependents, but their labor laws may similarly be changed. Allowing child labor will cause dependents to bring more income into their homes, but disallowing it will allow you to more easily educate your population. Finally, the dependents of soldiers may be left without sufficient income following a particularly bloody war. In response, you may institute pensions in order to provide aid to your populace. Taking a look back at the picture, the top right box seems to apply for the Sunni Turkish aristocrats in Diyarbakir. Sorry, Turkish listeners, that's the best I can do. We see a broader overview, however, of all aristocrats within the nation in the user interface as well. In the bottom right box, there's flavor text at the top, explaining what an aristocrat is. Beneath it is the class designation, the total population of aristocrats within the nation, as well as their total political strength, the distribution of their interest group support, and finally, a helpful tooltip explaining how other Pops can become aristocrats. To conclude this video, I will quote Mikhail, who sums up just how key a role Pops will play in Victoria 3. Nothing in your country runs without Pops, and everything about your country affects those Pops, who in turn provide new opportunities and challenges during your tumultuous journey through the Victoria era and beyond. I am Nick Applesauce, and that is just the facts of Dev Diary 1.